Hello and welcome to Estuary TV News with me, Dan Kemp. In tonight's show, we talk to Sue Walker, who is a high-intensity therapist at the Open Mind Service, which is part of Navigo, about mental health in light of the sad passing of Robin Williams last month. And I went along to a building site in Hull to hear about how college students are getting hands-on experience working on building sites. But first, here's James Dunn with the news headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, UKIP want to change the way North East Lincolnshire Council works because it's too dictatorial, they say. And a campaign to improve survival rates for pancreatic cancer is taken to the next level. Socially isolated older people will have to stay at home this week after vandals targeted the minibus used to take them to lunch clubs. The Age UK minibus was bought for £17,000 earlier this year after the old bus had to be retired in April. But they launched a fundraising campaign for a new one and got grant funding for a driver to transport people for shopping trips and lunch clubs at the centre. But vandals threw a large stone through one of the side windows over Monday night, and now it can't be used. It means that many older people who rely on the service as a vital lifeline will be unable to get out until it's fixed and back on the road, which could take up to 3 months.
We've only had it a short while, and to have it vandalised so quickly, as I said, it's very disappointing. Well, I would ask them to go and look in our dining hall and look at the older people who come in once a week, each of them, for a square meal and to socialise and mix with other people and see that these are the people that they're affecting, and hopefully they might realise how mindless and unkind an act it was, and hope that they might think twice in future.
East Riding Council's leader continues to criticise Hull City Council in the midst of a referendum over whether Hull should expand its boundaries. Polls are currently being sent out to homes in 12 East Riding wards after an independent commission set up by Hull City Council said there would be economic benefits to the expansion. But Stephen Parnaby, leader of East Riding, claims the commission is not independent but Hull-centric and insular, and complained that East Riding Council was never invited to join the debate. UKIP have tabled their motion for North East Lincolnshire Council to adopt a new system of working because they claim the current style is undemocratic. It currently runs using the cabinet system, which portfolio holders and cabinet from the ruling party make decisions. Other councillors can then call these decisions for further scrutiny before they're discussed at a full council meeting. Labour say that there is nothing wrong with the current system and they will oppose the motion, which will be debated in full council at Grimsby Town Hall next Thursday, September the 18th. But UKIP claim the current system is undemocratic and want to use a committee system so that all parties are involved at ground level in the decision-making process.
Well, currently, the way the system's set up, I would consider it very undemocratic. We have a cabinet system where 8 people out of the 42 councillors make decisions, leaving the rest of the councillors in a backbench capacity without really any particular power to make any changes. And also by the decrease in the number of actual full council meetings during the year. I think it's down to 5 now, plus the budgetary meeting.
A woman from Scunthorpe who lost her husband to pancreatic cancer says that a parliamentary debate prompted by her own petition will take her campaign forward. Maggie Watts lost her husband Kevin in 2009 and after researching the disease realised that survival rates have barely improved since it killed Kevin's mother nearly 40 years previously. She started a petition which got nearly 100,000 signatures, prompting a parliamentary debate on the issue. Maggie's campaign has been heavily backed by Scunthorpe MP Nick Dakin and Coronation Street actress Julie Hesmondale. We spoke to Maggie after the Westminster debate.
We're delighted with the debate. We had a great MP attendance. I think there were 26 MPs, which for a debate of that nature is an absolute amazing turnout. They were all supportive. They obviously had listened to their constituents who'd contacted them to tell them how important this was, and all, made us feel like we could hope that there might be hope in the future. But we also appreciate that there's never going to be an overnight quick fix for this. And so we see it as a long-term project. There are lots of us that are in it for the long haul, prepared to stick with it. And as long as we can slowly inch forward towards change, then we have to hold on to the hope that for future pancreatic cancer patients, things might be different.
And finally, Hull History Centre will open its Archives That Inspire exhibition this weekend. Games design and fashion students have created the exhibition inspired by the outbreak of the First World War in 1914. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but join me for the next time. Hopefully my voice will have recovered by then. Until then, bye for now.
Thanks, James. Now, it's often said that students fail to gain enough hands-on work experience whilst at college or university to make them suitably employable when they leave. But Probe, a company from Hull, are offering them the chance to do a real working day. I went along to one of their sites to find out a bit more. Probe offers new recruits the chance to further their construction career whilst also bringing some of Hull's buildings out of dereliction and enhancing the city's appearance and the quality of living accommodation at the same time.
As an organisation, we in tandem to this project, we've got a number of other projects, and some of them are just individual houses. So we're taking empty, derelict homes and bringing them back into use. On those, we're using our own apprentices, and we've got an agreement with the Hull College to actually bring on their day release students so they get real first-hand experience of working on a proper building site. So it has loads of benefits in terms of local young people getting experience and training.
We're happy to take new students on board and offer them a safe environment to train in. So it's great for people learning a trade as well as us work with them.
It's the right ethos. It's what the construction industry needs to bring people on. The apprenticeship schemes are quite short, and because they're very college-based, like Steve said earlier, you need really to get them onto sites that aren't new, aren't a little bit of a refurb or an extension to a house, but they're a real mucky site with proper builders, and get dirty and work a proper working day. So refurbishments like this, they don't start at 9 and finish at 4:30 and do college hours. They work the same hours alongside the guys that are actually doing the hard work.
As part of their Ofsted survey about 6 months ago, the Ofsted people came onto one of the sites where their students were working, and it was mentioned in really glowing terms in terms of the Ofsted report. They felt it was a really positive and productive way of working with young people, and the young people themselves love it because they're just actually not just building a wall and knocking it down, they're building a wall and it stays, so it makes a big difference.
But what project will ever run perfectly?
There's a few bits and pieces because old buildings have got odd shapes, dark corners, that kind of thing.
There are always going to be things we find here that are never accounted for, so yeah, it's always a challenge. 200 years ago, building regulations were not as they are today, as you can imagine. So walls are supported on tiny bits of timber and where steel should have actually been used.
Projects such as this one are a sign that organisations coming together to share expertise and skills is vitally important.
So what we do is we help them when they find a property such as the one behind us. We help by doing an initial condition survey, help with a feasibility study, and then what we've done is brought architects, structural engineers in and specified, tendered and brought the contractors on board, and then we project manage it. It's bang on programme because of the way Phil works and the requests we've given to him. It's bang on price, and we're coming to an end in sort of October time, and it'll be ready for then with, I think it's 7 or 8 flats, and they're of a really high standard.
Dan Kemp, Estuary TV News. Now, when Robin Williams passed away last month, it returned depression and suicide to the front pages of the newspapers and to the forefront of people's minds. Joining me in the studio is Sue Walker from the Open Mind Service, which is part of Navigo. Sue, just tell me a little bit about what Open Minds do.
Open Minds in the local area basically provide talking therapies for mild to moderate depression and anxiety disorders, so it could be anything from workplace stress to something that's really debilitating and people are unable to sort of get out of the homes very easily and attend appointments, so quite a range of things.
Okay, so you obviously deal with quite a lot of different people. How rewarding is the kind of work you do?
Yeah, really good. I mean, it's nice to be able to actually work towards some outcomes and see people improve over time and see them be able to become sort of managers of their own problems.
Okay, and what kind of help do you offer to people as well?
We offer cognitive behavioural therapy, we offer counselling for depression, we do offer couples therapy, psychosexual therapy, and these things, especially the cognitive behavioural stuff, can be in the forms of groups or one-to-one sessions, depending on what people's preferences and needs are.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the two different types there. Because obviously working in groups to discuss the problems, and there's working individually as well. There's
different types of groups. One's stress control, and because people can be quite anxious as well as depressed, that's set up so that people can just come, get the information and then go again. So it's a bit like coming to college and having a lecture. It's not interactive particularly. For people who want more to be able to share their experiences of how they're trying some of the cognitive behavioural interventions, there's a smaller group which is more interactive. There's more sort of exercises that you go away and try and then come back and discuss your progress. Then there's one-off information sessions, so you can go and get some information about sleep or worry and how to manage those, just giving you some things to try straight away. And then one-to-one sessions are where somebody needs some more sort of really tailored help to look at specific needs.
Okay, so at this point it'll be quite useful to point out how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I mean, we're on Osborne Street in Grimsby, which is the same row as sort of Shoreline and Poundland, and you can come and self-refer any time between 9:30 and sort of 4:30 about. Come in, give us your details. We'll be able to book in an appointment within the next couple of weeks. It's usually within a week at the moment, to assess your needs and make sure either we can help you, offer you some treatment, or get you in touch with a service that can. Okay, so obviously there's other people that can help you as well, like Samaritans and if you think your needs are more immediate, there's the crisis team. That's for people who might be suffering these kinds of suicidal thoughts or risk of harming yourself or other people. They're located up at Harrison House. Their number's 01472 252 360. So any of those thoughts, they would much rather you ring and speak to them than risk any harm to yourself. And there are things like, if you do need to maybe feel better, see if you feel better just offloading, there is Rethinking the Samaritans as well. Okay, and obviously like the case of Robin Williams is a bit of a celebrity. Maybe the case was that he felt he couldn't talk to people about his issues. Yeah, that's right. We do get a lot of people who report things like, it was really hard to come in, I'm worried about people seeing me coming in, and there is still that stigma attached to mental health. Another service that we are helping with is we do have an employment specialist. And what he can do is, if you are off work and you do have a lot of worries about going back to work, mainly to do with what people think or whether your employer will be understanding, that employment specialist can sort of bridge that gap and liaise with work for you. So it's fantastic that I suppose you and the people you work with have the ability to not only sort out the individual problem but also work around the problems around that as well. Yeah, it's not usually that it's a problem in its own right. It doesn't come from nowhere. It's often aggravated by life stresses. Things like bereavement. There's other services in the area that we can signpost people to, so it depends what the needs are. Okay, so talking is obviously really important about this, and this is what you offer. Yeah, a lot of it's practical things. Go away and try things at home, sort of testing out people's beliefs. They're probably experiencing lots of negative thoughts about themselves and feeling quite hopeless, and it might lead to them sort of withdrawing and becoming quite isolated. So we show them ways of managing those thoughts and behaviour to have more positive outcomes, really. Okay, and October the 10th is World Mental Health Day, am I right? Yep. Tell us a little bit about what happens on that day and why that's such an important thing to observe. It's mainly, again, there's still a lot of stigma attached to mental health. People are unsure about being able to talk about it, unsure what people's reactions are. So it's mainly about increasing awareness worldwide, and Navigo will be having some events going on in People's Park at the Floral Hall, so hopefully we'll be able to get some Open Minds representation there as well. Okay, so obviously it's still like a month away, but do you know anything that you're going to be doing on the day? No, hopefully just being there so that if people don't feel able to come into the service, they feel a bit self-conscious, they can bob down there, just explore the area, and if they want to have a quiet word with us, we'll have some people there who they can speak to. Okay, and finally, of course, we'll go back to how people can get into contact with you. Yeah, our number's 01472 252 760 or 01472 625 100. We're on 7 to 9 Osborne Street, and we also have an office in Cleethorpes where we can offer appointments. We're also in some GP surgeries, but as a first point of contact, if you don't want to come in yourself, you can speak to your GP and they can refer, but do come down to the Grimsby office if you want to make a self-referral. Okay, so obviously it's very important that anyone that feels they have anything like this gets in touch with you. Thank you. Get in touch with GP or with us or with the crisis team. We'd much rather you get in touch even if it turns out you don't actually need a service. Okay, thanks for joining us, Sue. Cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thanks for joining us for tonight's show. Please get in touch with our phone number 315 561. Of course, that's a Grimsby number. And get in touch via Facebook or Twitter at Estuary TV, or email us at info@estuary.tv. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.